several developments in the auto world today, with UAW President Shawn Fain testifying before Congress during a hearing called Standing Up to Corporate Greed: How Unions Are Improving the Lives of Working Families.
His testimony comes as foreign automakers are raising wages in an effort to stave off unionization of its workers, and while Stellantis is offering buyouts and early retirement packages to some of its workers.
Joining us once again to sort through all these headlines is Marick Masters, professor of management at Wayne State University. Thanks for joining us today, Marick.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, first let's talk about Shawn Fain. Took on the big three, testifying before Congress, and now taking aim at foreign automakers. What do you make of all of this?
Well, he's certainly being consistent with his plans from the very beginning, which were to, number one, negotiate record-breaking contracts for the workers, and also then to take that agreement or these agreements and tout them before non-union workers in such companies as Honda and Toyota and Tesla, and see if he can use that as a means of organizing those workers, which so far have resisted it, in part due to stiff company opposition.
So now that we're seeing some of these companies, as you mentioned, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai have now joined, raising the wages to kind of match what the union received in its tentative deals with the big three. Is that typically enough to stave off unionization attempts, just matching that wage?
Well, it certainly reflects an effort on their part to do what they need to do to keep the unions at bay. And they've had a lot of experience doing that, and I think they're going to be increasingly aggressive. They got out in front of this early. They're raising wages. They're also reducing the amount of time of progression to the highest rate. So therefore, I think they're taking the steps, plus the other things that won't meet the public eye, that they're doing to counter any effort on the part of the union to try and organize their workers.
What more can the union do to get those foreign automakers to become a part of the union?
Well, it's got to make its case, but it has to realize, and it knows very well, that the law is stacked against them. Employers can do all kinds of things within the law to resist union organizing efforts, and they can push the envelope in terms of how they aggressively oppose union organizing to make it very difficult and risky for workers to take a chance by supporting a union.
Yeah, speaking of, Tesla has been known to do what you just mentioned, has been very resistant to any unionization efforts, and there's a lot of eyes on Tesla with it being an American non-unionized automaker. So what do we expect to happen there? Do you think that the UAW is trying to strike while the iron is hot and the recent strike is still on recent memory for everyone?
Well, I think it realizes that this is probably its best opportunity. It's certainly the best opportunity that it's had for decades, and they need to strike while they can. Now, they have this little issue now about getting their contracts ratified, and they have to do that and settle that issue before they can really go to these companies and say, we want to organize your workers. And they're working behind the scenes to do that now, but you have to lay a lot of groundwork in order for this to happen. It can be a very challenging process, and as I said before, they're going to face unbelievable amounts of opposition. These companies are not going to roll over. Do not underestimate the willingness of American companies to oppose unions. They're just ideologically and politically committed to resisting unions, and they have been since the inception of unions.
And Marick, you mentioned the deals still need to be ratified with the big three. How should we be thinking about these local chapters, one just yesterday, of voting down the agreement? What happens next in that situation?
Well, it looks like at Ford and Stellantis, based on the returns so far, particularly at Ford, where more returns have come in, that the contracts are on pace to be tentatively agreed to or ratified by the rank and file. But GM, it's going to be a nail biter, just like Shawn Fain's election to the presidency was. I think right now it's almost split evenly across the total amount of workers when you include the production and skilled workers, with skilled workers being a little bit more inclined to support the agreement. But still, you've got several major outstanding facilities at General Motors that have yet to announce their totals. And I wouldn't take anything for granted. The union will face some very challenging issues if the members reject the contract.
All right, thank you so much, Marick Masters, professor of management at Wayne State University. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.